to set a timer for 1:30 so we can make the agenda today.
Yeah, I'm excited and thankful for the participation on the Graviton training. And there are a lot of things that are happening, like well, the 75% governance vote also happened, and also trying to pitch the NBC book club that starts tomorrow. So well, this has been like a moved week, but yeah, I think like things are going well, and yeah, I will pass to Livy.
I think things are going well too, but it feels like a lot of calls all of a sudden. Like, oh my God, how did so many just jump into my calendar? And then having to focus on all the work. But I've been receiving help from a lot of people. It feels really good. And Mitch and Christopher just killing in the reward systems. And we've been having good syncs and feels like things are moving forward. Yeah, in general, very grateful for the participation in the community. It never stops. Every week is more and more people wanting to do stuff. And of course, there's the challenge that Mitch brought up yesterday in SoftGraph of like, how can we make sure we're not getting stuck by all the people that are joining, but also acknowledging how beautiful it is that our community is very welcoming and that more and more people want to be here. And I'm confident we're going to find that balance soon. And I'll pass to Eduard.
I love how you pronounce my name. You're the only one who pronounced my name like that. So, Temperature Check. I don't know. I'm really happy. I have two very strong emotions right now: happy and confusion. Confusion because of the forum post of the feedback that was provided in 75 governance feedback and delayed kind of comments that were put there. In general, I just I felt confused by the comments. And then I'm really happy and grateful for Jean participation and helping with the outreach. And then on the other hand, there was a question raised by Anne-Marie, which I was completely unaware, but completely right, which is basically she was not included on the list of hatchers as a contributor. So when we do the outreach, she was not outreached because she was not on that list. So there is this question of how do we add contributors to the list of when we for votations or not, like how do we handle this? So people who contribute and like yeah, so that was a little bit kind of off because there's a lot of people who fall into this. Shuga is another example. She was not notified because she's not on the list either. So yeah, just feeling a little bit in between happy and confused. So we'll pass it on to Mitch.
Thanks, Eduardo. Yeah, some of my things just like based from our last stewards call, Tam showing us the budget and saying like, how are we going to keep the ship afloat? And with all these new, like kind of the same sentiment I expressed in SoftGov, it's like, how are we dealing with the sheer inertia of like onboarding that we're doing versus the actual things that we're producing and the budget that we're working with. And so I think there's a lot of hard analysis that needs to be done here to realize realistically what can we sustain. And that stuff's probably going to suck, but I think it needs to be dealt with before we start making any assumptions of like what our funding stream is going to look like. And lots of stuff with the reward system, lots of stuff with this like pushback on the governance vote, like all of it seems very confusing and it needs some clarification. Anyway, and I will pass it to Chui. Are you there, Chui? You're muted, man. We can't hear you.
sorry. I don't know why this last Discord update takes like 10 seconds to connect to calls, but yeah, I can hear everyone.
Mitch, pass to you. We're just doing the temperature check in the beginning. If you want to share anything you're observing about yourself or the working group or community.
Okay. I'm just so anxious for the comments upgrade. I need it to happen. Most of the stuff and the ideas that we come up with, in a way, already apply to like the post comments upgrade phase. So yeah, I'm just like super anxious and excited for it to happen. I guess that could summarize the temperature in comms. I'll pass it back to you, Tam.
Cool, and maybe I'll send it to Nate.
Yeah, I think everything is pretty good. You know, I love the voter turnout. On the 75% vote, I think this is a really important moment for us because while I've read the forum and I myself voted no, and I agree with some of the aspects of it, but I'm afraid that, you know, if we get into this habit of passing a proposal and then, you know, a small minority pushes the envelope to the point where we lose legitimacy in the process, I think it becomes a huge problem for our community. And so we need to figure out a way to mitigate these types of things and have responsible discussions around these topics, because while there are very good points to these aspects, and that should be addressed, I do think that what is worse is losing legitimacy of our entire voting process in general. And I do think that comes to a threat if you get a good following of people who have a lot of authority and following. And I just get worried about that aspect. And so I do think that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. Outside of that, I think we are seeing numbers that are insane. I agree with Mitch. We have unbelievable growth right now, which is really awesome. A lot of interested people. Making sure that we are providing delegating work for them to do, and not just work for the sake of work, but things that are productive and concentrated, a part of a roadmap. Outside of that, I think it's good, and I will pass it on to Griff.
You stole all my thunder, Nate. I was gonna say so much of the same things. Yeah, the 75% voter turnout was ridiculous. One of the things I noticed was how far down Livia was down on the list for her no vote, and I'm so glad that it turned out as a yes, so we can raise her power up the list. And a lot of the other people that voted no will get tokens from this thing, which is really funny to me. So their voice will be amplified for more constructive criticism in our space. But I would say that, like, I'm really glad that we had the 88%, like that it voter like support required. I thought that was really interesting because it made those no votes really matter, and which is really cool. I don't think any other DAOs have such a strong support required. And I think it makes a lot of sense, and I think we proved it with this last vote. Yeah, and Dave, man, the Twitter analytics that DYOR put out there in the comms call was amazing. That was such a nice breakdown. I was so impressed. I actually recommended to like Lauren and a bunch of other people that run Twitter accounts in the space just to like check out that breakdown, because it was really valuable. Yeah, I feel like we're really running on all cylinders. We got another vote out. Tam, Zep, and Sam are pushed out this last vote. That's just about to be promoted, I think, at least a little lightly. So it'll be interesting how we push that one. And I'll pass it to Ryder. Hi.
Hi. It's interesting, the desire to like repeat what other people say. But I guess just a small reflection is I just feel there's so much like care and stamina and praise in the room. And something that really stuck out to me was, I need to go look at the name so I don't get his name wrong. Mitch, right? Mitch was is the new, yeah, there you are. You're above me. I just really appreciated what you said about just how to keep the ship afloat, because it's not an easy thing to remind people of. And it might sound kind of sour, people don't want to think about it, but like, I just see that as like foundational financial care. And like, I see it as an expression of love. And so I wanted to share that. That's what I heard. And I just, I'm really loving engaging in this community. Sometimes I feel a little bit like there's blocks to doing more, but you know what? That's kind of good sometimes, because I need to learn how to be patient. And I'm a part of other communities too. You know, it's so easy to take on too much. So I'm like not going anywhere, and I'm excited to engage more, and in doing so, you know, maybe help with onboarding in the future as well. And I'm not sure who hasn't gone, so I'll let someone else pass it for me.
Pastor Septimus?
Yeah, thanks, Tam. Yeah, the Hatch vote, it was we had some issues, but I wanna congratulate the Twitter. Like, even with, you know, all these change of schedules, they were adapting super fast. So yeah, praise to them. And yeah, overall, I also wanna second Levy's thoughts. Like, it feels like, oh, so many calls right now, but at the same time, you know, on the work I'm doing also, I feel super supported. So yeah, this is cool. And yeah, also Gravity is on fire, like the Graviton training and the book club. So yeah, super interesting. And yeah, it seems like there is a lot of people engaging, so super cool. I'll pass it to Santi.
I think we are in the middle of, in between two phases. Yeah, the euphoria of raising 1.5 million, and now, you know, just waiting to upgrade. Sometimes it looks taking too long, and we all through it. At the same time, there's new people joining every day, so things are growing. We need to redefine how everything's gonna be working. Some groups are appearing and freezing or disappearing. I think I second say really have to know how everything in terms of treasury and income and expenses for every group, but it's you know, it's very nice to see how we are evolving and how we are getting there, and especially it's very nice to see how the community is.
You're cutting up a little, Santi.
I think I'm done. So just get it back.
Okay. Metaverde?
Hey, yeah. My temperature, I'm just checking in. I didn't realize until a few days ago how wild things have been getting over here. And I'm sorry I was gone so long, and I'm just here to sync. And I'll pass. I don't know who's gone. Griff, did you go?
Well,
yeah, Griff went. Wonka, did you go? No, Wonka went. Okay, I don't know. I give up.
it's me.
I want to shout out to Juan real quick, though. Juan, you did a terrific job yesterday. I didn't get to tell you that. Amazing job at Gravity. Sorry, back to you, Jan.
No problem. So I want to say I'm feeling a little Mercury being retrograde. I'll admit it. I'm not a big astrologist or pay attention to my astrology so much, but like sometimes things are going on and I'm like, I'm just going to check. And sure enough, God damn it, it's Mercury retrograde. So I'm feeling that a little bit. But aside from that, I would say I feel definitely the same concern that was brought up before about budget and focus. I'm going to propose in the next Stewards Council we bring hard numbers. You know, last Stewards Council, we brought drafts of our working group funding, but I think this next one, which will be not this week, but the following Thursday, we bring hard numbers for each working group and look at the totality of that. And then really have some discussions around that. And then for focus, I also agree. You know, I thought it was really important what Griff said and what Mitch said in Soft Cup yesterday about how do we know we're doing the right things and how do we balance between intrinsic motivation and people do what they want to do and making sure that that is encouraged and allowed, and also somehow making sure that we are following our mission, vision, and values. And in that light, I think I would like to start this or continue this stewards meeting by just reading out our mission, vision, and values. And I'm going to ask if the stewards can read it. So I will pass to somebody, and then you please pass on for the mission and pass on for the values. And I'll ask maybe Eduardo, will you get us started and pass to somebody from there?
Sure, no problem. The vision: enable the creation of ethical, safe, resilient, and diverse economic systems to benefit societies around the world. And that's a quick one. So I will pass it on to my third voice on here, Nate, for the mission.
All right, thank you, Eduardo. Mission is, our goal is to become a Schelling point for the token engineering community. Should I do the whole mission or should I pass it? Okay. Our economic layer will fund projects that discover, develop, and proliferate the best practices for engineering safe tokenized economies while aligning our collective success with the individual benefit of token holders. Our social layer is even more important, as it will unite the token engineering field around the ethical principles, standards, tools, and methodologies that emerge as this nascent field advances. And I will pass it on to Wonka.
Our values. Our commons operates from a prosocial, human-centered perspective and prioritizes the advancement of token engineering over short-term profits. Integrity, curiosity, constructive inquiry, presence, and gratitude are foundational for maintaining mutual respect within our growing community. We encourage our members to be radically open source, non-hierarchical, transparent in their intentions, and accountable for their actions.
Cool. Thanks for doing that. I keep thinking that we need to keep going back to that when we're deciding what we're doing and why we're doing it, and if it is aligned with our mission, vision, and values. So maybe we'll make this a little tradition to revisit this. Public service announcement. Have you checked your GitHub notifications? Do you have somebody who needs something from you? Oops. Now would be a great time to check. Nate, spotlight for tomorrow. How are we doing?
Yes, thanks to Chewy, we have Dream Team DAO with Humberto Esso, and he will be presenting on a DAO full of devs, all-star devs. So it'll be an interesting topic, and I know that they've been talking about it for a while now. So it's fairly new, but yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to add something
Cool.
here. There was, we're working on the treasury management apps, and there is a bunch of them that are listed in the forum post, like Hedgie, Zodiac. There were Parcel. I don't know. There were many, and Ivy was saying maybe it would be interesting if they could talk in the community call, like the spotlight. So maybe reach out to them would be cool. So we have the forum post, but also these people explaining how their app works. So it would give the community a better understanding.
Cool. Do you want to drop the ideas in here? And maybe or just reach out to Nate, who's been coordinating it.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Nate.
It sounds like a
Yeah, just send me a DM. Thanks, Eddie.
Yeah, thanks to you, buddy.
And
Thanks for
for Zodiac, we actually, Aaron McMillan is the one carrying that project. So he's a hatcher of us, so it could be easy to get easier to get.
Yeah, that's really a great point, actually, now that you bring it up. We have a lot of hatchers who are working on really cool projects, and maybe we can start looking down that avenue as finding people who are already hatchers in the TEC and having them present their projects. Yeah. Nate, does that sound cool?
Sounds wonderful. I do want to point out that, you know, the last, I think, 3 times we have been cutting it really close in our community call in terms of giving enough time for the spotlight. If this does become more of a problem, we are going to have to make some changes, but we could also be a little bit more disciplined about our presentation. So when we're doing our community updates, to make sure that we're very precise and succinct and keep the ball moving quickly.
I'm really sorry about that, Nate. I will definitely push it. We could also maybe we reduce praise to 50 seconds. I don't really like that idea, but it's an option.
It's on 55
Or maybe
right now. Because
we could also start timing different working groups too. Sorry, what did you say, Zep? It's at 55?
Yeah, I normally do it 55 because yeah, it takes between passing and stuff. But yeah.
Good, Ryder.
I want to ask what the purpose of the community hall is, but what I'm hearing is that it has many purposes. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you want to go to one call and see what's going on, then this is the call to go to. And then we like to add the spotlight so that we can remember that we're not just DAOing to DAO, that there are real token engineering projects out there.
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
So the suggestion, I think that adding meetings is like a really hard thing to do, and I can't even begin to like see how another community would do that with their complicated schedules and time zones. So it makes me want to be like, every community hall has a theme, and so like a spotlight could be a theme. So like folks like Dada aren't cut off. Like when I saw Dada going, I was like, oh man, like they barely have any time, you know? And like maybe like focusing on new people and onboarding and really just like having a chance to hear people out a little bit more and like being like not like diluting everybody so that we can fit everything into one meeting, but having like topical or categorical meetings. So that's my suggestion.
Yeah, so my only concern is that
the month, third of the month, stuff like that is what I meant.
No, I mean, it's a really good suggestion. I appreciate that. I think a bigger concern for me is that, you know, we're growing as a community, and that growing means more praise, and that means more working groups. That means more things to fill in with working groups. And so, yeah, I would like to open up like a kind of an idea on the forum and just get as much feedback as we can and try to see what we can do about this.
So it sounds like one of the primary functions of the community hall is like a weekly update for all the working groups. Is that what I'm hearing? Great. So like in SourceCrit, for example, we have a community call that's separate from the weekly update, and it's like super useful to have those two separate. So it's hard for me to conceive of them being together. I'm like, whoa, like there's no time just for those two things alone, let alone spotlights and other things. So that's my perspective from a different community server.
What
Thanks,
up?
Ryder.
What?
Go ahead.
What about making the call maybe 10 minutes longer? Would that be so bad?
Gravity call is after.
We are going to have the book club, but yeah, one of the intentions to use the DAO book club was to set free that hour if we want to like make like a longer spotlight. And yeah, I also think that maybe Ryder's idea can be applied maybe if you don't have like a lot of like news from your working group in a week. Maybe we can do like bi-weekly updates from certain working groups, or like take turns and divide the call. Like today we're going to have 5 groups, and then next call we're going to have 5 groups. I don't know. It's just a suggestion.
I think these are all really super good ideas, and I like the idea of posting on the forum, because mathematically we just run out of time. I mean, if there's 55 seconds of praise times 25 people, sometimes we get over 30. That's already 22 minutes. 3 minutes per working group is 33 minutes. So that's 55 minutes. And we don't include the intro. So I think we need to reimagine what this community call should be, how it should be structured. And it's a great opportunity to actually do that. We've grown so much. We have new working groups. We have more people. So we just will maybe have to change the format. And maybe start with what's the objective, is to make sure the community is aware of everything that's going on, in a very succinct single place. So I love the idea of posting the forum and getting some ideas there. Any last thoughts on it before we move to the next subject?
I just want to highlight that my 2 favorite parts of those community calls is the updates and the spotlight. And I think those are definitely the most critical parts of that meeting. The praise is nice, but it's we still get it at the end of the day.
I'd like to add that I've never made a forum post, and if somebody wanted to work with me to make that happen, I would do it. If someone else who's already established here just ends up doing it, that's fine. But you can reach for me in my DMs if you want to have a perspective from another community.
I would love to do that, Ryder.
Nate?
Yeah, definitely.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Cool, excellent. Thanks for volunteering, Ryder. So the biweekly blog post, who is taking this on? Mitch, you're taking on the biweekly blog post. I mean, we can call it the What's News article, the What's New article. Katie won't be able to do it anymore. So for this, let's just put the next one here. One, do you have any, since it's going to be the first time that you're doing it, do you have any thoughts you want to share? And
I mean, this is news to me. You're muted, Tam. You just muted yourself.
Oh, I think did I say Mitch when I meant Nate?
Nate, yeah, you made me. Mitch was like, the hell I am.
Okay, cool. Wow, Tam's just like.
No, Nate volunteered or is accepted to do it. Do you want to share anything, Nate, about what you need, and we can start sort of compiling a list for what should go on it?
No, I just wanted to, this is my first time back with this, so I was going to just hop into Suga's process, which seemed to be working out really well. And so if you guys have updates, please put them there. Otherwise, I will reach out to you and search for some. So something will be written. That's all I know.
Nate, if you want, I can help you writing the article. You can share with me, and yeah, I like doing that too.
I'm totally down. Thank you. That would be helpful.
Perfect.
So ideas for helping Nate be successful in doing this. Thank you for throwing that in, Wanka. So the first Hatch DAO vote, the 75% governance vote, which was snapshot signaling. Other things we want to highlight?
Easy Lounge every Friday.
Yeah, promote it.
Okay.
And since we are doing this to people who are mostly part of the community, I will just suggest to let people know, to make a small call to action, hey, you have a project, or you want to tell us about your community, something to sort of, maybe 10 people will answer, but it could be nice to have this, just to know what they are working on. Not what they're working on, but like communities that we can sort of partner or do launches on them or whatever. An idea.
Griff, do you want to include anything from params, like the commons configuration dashboard deployment, or is it still too beta?
I mean, when does this get deployed? When does this get written? The 29th? Today?
We'll
No.
shift it.
Okay.
I mean,
Probably
I want to say like maybe. Let's see how it goes in the community call tomorrow. They have a huge hack sesh today where they're doing a lot of work to try to get it out so we can actually start proposing parameters, at least in an alpha stage. If that happens, it's worth highlighting. If it's bad, it's not.
I think at any rate, it's cool to show in our news, like, what are we building, you know? So I see the dashboard. Go ahead, Griff.
I think the dashboard's awesome, but like every other round. If it's ready, it's ready. I don't want to necessarily bring, like, people keep doing user testing on it and it's just like, well, yeah, we know we're going to fix all that, you know? So I'm not necessarily excited about gearing people towards it.
What
Other
if
than
just
the
like
learn-
saying that we're building it and take a couple screen grabs? That's the news.
How do you feel about sharing collaborations like the proposal inverter with Prime DAO and all that stuff?
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it'd always be good to ask YGG what he's got going on, like what they're doing, the reward system.
Yeah,
I think it's what the labs is focusing on right now too.
Yeah.
If I will say, if the demo on Thursday looks really good for params, though, we should definitely highlight it.
This is a lot of stuff.
Sorry. Do we want to establish a set date for these? I know it's supposed to be, so the 7th, is that? You're unmuted.
Unbelievable. To be honest, this is also an opportunity to completely reimagine the what this is. This had originally been tied to praise. So every 2 weeks there was a praise quant, and then we would publish the praise quant. So we started adding some highlights from what's going on. But now that dependencies just, so this can be a few short blog posts a week. It can be one big blog post every 2 weeks. It can really, like, now we can apply some different strategy to this in terms of using Medium as a communication channel, to be honest. We're not really tied to this. So I would look to you and to the communications team to perhaps come up with some ideas on, you know, we can still feed some ideas, but maybe we can do a different format than we have been doing. If that sounds good to you to look at that.
I would love that. And preferably, I'd rather instead of just like, I mean, I know we want to get the news out there, but I would like to see like deeper dives into some of these things, like the TEC Lounge, which is something that I feel like people don't really understand yet, but has a lot of potential to be understood and participated with. So I don't know.
You can do an interview about the TEC Lounge with Eduardo and Wonka and post the interview on the Medium. I mean, you could do a lot of creative things here. So can I just ask you to open a ZenHub issue about it?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, it's a great opportunity to find new things that may work better than what we have been doing in the past. Cool. All right. So there is the official very first Hatch DAO vote. Huge cred goes to Sem, of course, and Septimus and Dan and Griff, and I'll include myself. But please go vote. This is a very non-controversial vote. This is, should we burn and mint addresses for people who have lost access to their token, to their address, for people who've lost access to their address and are requesting a different address. So yeah, two things. This is the time remaining is not accurate. Yeah, please ignore that. I sent a communication to the stewards channel and to the amplified channel, essentially so that the correct termination date of this vote is available. I want to say it's, what was it, the 3rd at 2:25 a.m. CET time. So Chewy, I'm not sure that this is 100% on comms radar yet, but there's a few things. One, it's officially the first Hatch DAO vote, which is very exciting. The second thing is we will probably receive the necessary approval, 8%, pretty quickly to have this pass. So yeah, the question is like, I don't know that we need to, do a personal outreach to every hatcher the way we done with the 75% governance vote, but I do think we probably do need to announce that the very first TEC hatch vote is happening right now. Yay, congratulations everyone.
Quick question. On my end, it keeps saying syncing and it never shows the same windows that you have. And this has been going on.
That's a fun bug. Hit F5 or shift reload, like this, like a few times.
Yeah, it has been done for an hour and a half and it hasn't changed.
Yeah, I've been trying since the morning too.
Okay, I know like a workaround that Sam taught me. I can DM you guys the process. It's super simple, but I don't want to take time of this call, so I'll just send it to you.
Can you also put it? Can you put it on a reply to my comment on the stewards channel or the amplified channel so everyone sees it? Because I think more than us are going to need it.
Sure.
Thanks.
It might be worth showing really quickly. It's I think it so that everyone knows.
Okay. True, you want to share screen or would you like to walk me through it?
I can walk you through it. It's pretty simple. So now that you are there, press F12. So you go to the console.
And for a Mac, that's what?
If you hit, you go to view and developer tools, and then there's like
this.
Okay, and then there is script.js file somewhere in there. Is there it is. It's right below it, right below that one. That one. Okay, so click on that. Okay, just refresh it after some seconds. And if when that whole bunch of text loads, you should be able to go back and refresh, and all of the votes should load now.
I'll be honest, I had to do this like 4 times and click and turned off my ad blockers and all these things, and then eventually magically it just worked. So
Okay. I'm gonna move on past this, but do post that. I don't know if it was clear for everyone to see what, I mean, it's pretty difficult to actually describe. Would it help if I put a screenshot in?
I think you might be better off just pasting that link and giving that link. It's a IPFS link, so it'll be the same for everybody, and it'll just always be that link. Then we don't have to tell them to get into developer tools.
Got it. This one, did I open the right one? Probably not.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, it's this one?
Yeah.
And then I go back here and reload.
Yeah, it's that link right. It's that tab that. Yeah. Hey, that worked. That's what you want to see.
Okay. All right. Chewy, can I drop this just in your
I feel like
DMs?
we should somehow pay for Pinata, and it would fix this problem. That's my guess.
I don't know. Maybe we can raise that as a ZenHub issue and we can address it as we move forward. It could be.
Oh, Tam is
Okay.
frozen.
It's me that's frozen? Oh no, I thought other
well,
people were frozen.
No.
Do you guys know what the
You're
next
good,
thing
Tom.
on the agenda is? I mean, let's just say on this one. Oh, am I
Griff's super frozen. Rage quit.
Okay, so is it me that's frozen? I
No, you're
thought
good.
Griff was me.
No,
Okay.
Griff was frozen for sure.
Cool. I dropped the magic link in the agenda. Sorry about that, guys. Hope that works. So there is something I wanted us to address today, but maybe because I also like us to do some working group updates, and we have 15 minutes left. I just want to have this on everyone's radar. When I drafted the Stewards Working Group funding, the question came up about how to determine active versus non-active stewards. There have been some ideas. Anne-Marie posted in the forum about having sort of a time bound for stewards. YGG sort of reminded me that might be a possibility too that we look at, so that there's a default exit for stewards, and maybe there's some sort of like you can. The idea he shared was maybe in order to like renew the stewardship every 3 months, every 6 months, it would just require like a forum post with a motivation, for being a steward or something like that. So that if there does seem to be a dwindling motivation for participation in the TEC as a steward, there would be a natural evolution to it ending. So that's one idea. There could be some other ideas, but I'd love for us as the stewards to figure out how we can keep stewardship active, since there will be some sort of remuneration for the role in a healthy and positive way. If anyone has a particular thought that they would want to share right now, just while we're all sort of planting these seeds in our mind to think about, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, I will move on to the sprint to our check-ins. But I'm going to wait a few minutes. So.
I'm just going to say graduated sanctions.
I don't know. My feeling is I don't know that we want to sanction people for not showing up to meetings, or it's a lot of overhead to do that,
True.
But I see
what
you're saying. My thinking is we do it in a way that's not over, that's not policing, if that makes sense. Like not how many meetings have you gone to, how much part-time have you spent. It's more like the spirit of it. And this idea that it being time-bound could be natural, like, okay, after 3 months, it just sort of you're not a steward unless you sort of I don't know. It's the most compelling idea to me so far, but Eduardo?
Yeah, I think it's for it to work, we need there's a natural need of evolving the acknowledgement system that we have, and not necessarily with incentives and so on, but I think this sense of belonging that is developed through pertinence and the space, and it's part of the cultural build. I think that we have a very great acknowledgement system that helps people to be aware of the impact of what they do to other people. But there should be a way where we can sort of be aware that our absence or our presence have an impact in the whole picture. And once you're aware of that, you either say no to be a steward or you are active. So I think, yeah, it's a more of a abstract thought Sorry for that. But yeah, I think a natural evolvement of the acknowledgement system, praise system, whatever it is, that is not compensatory, but more of a cultural aspect could be interesting.
I have a crazy idea. What about when our reward system is working? You know, like we will have maybe leaderboards like we had in the past, and maybe once you have certain amount of hours contributed to the commons, you are a steward, and if you are below, you are not. And I mean, you have to be above, and you also have to want to be. It's like you have these two requirements, and this also would decentralize the thing. Like, yeah, it's a crazy idea, but I think it could be fun, and people could grind more. I don't know. It makes, it makes like this gamification thing to be more fun. I don't know.
It's not so crazy. The way we did initially the outreach was we started with the people who had more impact hour holding. So it's not so crazy to think that there is a reference on participation with the amount of hours that you are putting on. Yeah.
So there's praise and impact hours, and then if you're using source cred, there's cred. They're all ways to measure like involvement and the valuation of contributions, just to make it even, just throw another wrench in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors to consider. I think that this is a good topic for the council because it sort of goes with funding and activity because they're very tied together. Like the purpose is to have the base stipend for active stewards, but not inactive stewards. So for someone that hasn't come to a meeting for 2 months and isn't participating in the forums and isn't on our Discord, there should be some graceful way to offboard that steward. And I guess that's what we're seeking, like a graceful way for people who are no longer energizing the role to gracefully offboard. All right. There is somebody added to the agenda. What is the confusion with the 75% vote? So I want to honor that and leave some time to bring this up. I would like somebody else to please describe that because I'm not the right person to describe it. Would somebody like to take that away?
Yeah, I added that just because I heard resonating in the intros that there was a confusion with that. I just don't understand what is the confusion or what is there that needs to be looked at.
I think that what happened is that the vote, some people said that needed like a better distribution. But also I was the one that was like pitching that vote, and I was doing that for weeks. So yeah, it's difficult when at last minute this signaling happens. But I also think that it's still important to integrate it. And what I think is that the debate really, or the confusion, is not about the 75% governance giveback, but it's more around which of the technical solutions are we going to decide. But the vote also was to let the common swarm deep dive on these technical solutions to propose the best implementation that they could think at. So yes, I think the confusion is more on how are we going to implement the technical solution rather than why did or are we proposing to have a give back of governance to core contributors.
Yeah, there's
Does
a lot to
anyone
unwrap.
want to add any? Yeah.
Sorry, I just think there's a lot to unwrap, and that's why I think, especially when it comes to informal votes that are meant for signaling, the discretion of implementing that vote is on someone. And knowing who that person is and who's going to make that decision at the end of the day is really important to know. And so when I see the proposal as it is right now, it's a question of, okay, do we want to explore developing this, digital primitive? My answer is yes, absolutely. Do we want to spend $5,000 on it? Not sure. Do we want to incorporate this as a method for the 75% government back? These are three different questions all wrapped into one. And so when we have a vote like this, and the first problem I see is that we need to really instill the fact that if a vote is for signaling, it is not binding. It can be changed. And because if we don't illustrate that to the community, it's going to be a testament to the voting process itself. And we're going to have all of this arguments around snapshot when we do have a binding vote, a formal vote that we want to implement. And so I think we just need to get really a lot more precise in terms of what we're talking about and what we're voting on, and understanding who has the discretion at the end of the day when it comes to a vote that just is meant for signaling.
I agree with that, with Nate said. And my confusion in my intro was regarding of the late signaling. I just, for me, the question was, when I finished reading that, is that what do we do with this late signaling, and how can we sort of improve, I don't know, the space for signaling before it's too late, if that ever happens, because then we will have people from the community with many strong opinions, probably. I don't know if they represent a lot of people, I don't know, it just gave me a feeling of confusion, this late signaling, because I didn't see on the forum post, or I didn't understand, at least to my knowledge, what we do with that late signaling now. So.
Can I ask a question? What exactly are we talking about when we say late signaling? What was the late signal precisely?
I think what happened is that it's supernatural that when people are looking into something that they're going to vote, in that moment of voting, they have an opinion about it, and maybe they didn't share that opinion earlier, but they're sharing in that moment. And still, with those opinions being shared, we had a 92% majority voting yes for this proposal. And maybe there is a confusion of what was posted on Snapshot and what is in the forum. And that's something I chatted with Juan about, that maybe moving forward, we need to really incorporate the feedback process into the proposal, and then post something clean to the forum without all of the comments, but having the comments available there if people want to see it. But what was in the snapshot is very clear, a very clear process of what is happening. That is, this was a signaling for either the Commons Forum is going to start looking into the development of the solution or not. So look, this proposal is meant to signal the community's support for the funding and implementation of a technical solution that will allow this to happen. So this is just signaling if they're gonna start looking into it. This proposal will be used to support the Commons Forum, and if this development happens, they will be requesting 5,000 DAI for it to conviction voting. And that is a different process. And then for the solution that they are creating to be implemented, they will submit this to the Hatch DAO because it's needed for the code changes to be made. So it's part of the automation of the Hatch DAO and of how the proposal will be submitted. And then this 3 paragraphs is stating that. So this is a signaling for them to start working on it. And those are the next processes, like the next steps that will happen. I think it's important for us to pay attention on the language that we raise, there shouldn't be confusion in the result of the vote because it clearly passed. If there is confusion, there is how are this going to be implemented? Oh, maybe we should talk to the Commons Forum. Maybe we should go to a Commons Forum call. Who in the Commons Forum we need to speak to address these suggestions that were being made? And then Sam also was chatting there, so we know he's aware of it, and we can talk to him to see who else is going to be working on that. And then these are the progress that we need to be looking at instead of looking into the results of the votings or thinking that the process of the vote was confusing, because I think that derails a little bit the direction we should be focusing on.
So I just want to say that I think the one mistake that we had is the 5,000 wrapped X die, because to me that is not a signaling vote. That's a hard vote of we're going to commit this money towards this, and not that it's a maybe or it's up to somebody's decision. Like, I think if this was broken down into we're going to spend $5,000 wrapped X die to explore to develop this mechanism, and then we'd have an on-chain vote for the 75% solution using that mechanism, would have probably been a more beneficial approach. Just because I think that if I'm signaling that I want $5,000, does that mean it's going to happen? Does that mean if they do it, it's going to be implemented, even if we don't want the 75% governance back? I don't know. There are a lot of different nuances there. So I think simpler is better.
I'm a bit confused now because I think Sam was saying, you guys are saying this bot was signaling, but Sam was saying this is the real. I mean, to make this thing happen, it's like Sam going to implement it before the commons upgrade. So we are going to choose the params, including that decision. So yeah, now I'm confused. Like Sam was telling, this decision was final, and now we're saying this is a signaling. So maybe Griff, you know better.
It was signaling for.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Libby.
We are at the top of the hour. We're gonna maybe stay another minute or two just to finish this. If anyone needs to jump off, please do. I also thought of this as it was to really approve that, yes, we're going to implement this. Yes, it will cost. This is how much it's going to cost. And then it will be ratified in the Commons upgrade. But I also thought this was yes, go ahead, let's do it. I thought it was a signal that we're going to go ahead with this because we agree with it in principle, and that the solution would be designed by the people who are best equipped to design the solution. The community doesn't design the solution. The community signals support for this action and signals approval for the budget requested, and then the team will design it and implement it, and it will be ratified on chain in the Hatch DAO.
Yeah, I think that I'm more with Libby on this side because the technical solution hasn't been developed yet, so we are not sure about what we will be talking about, and what this vote will do is to unblock the Common Swarm team to start working on this. And actually, in last call they were continuing brainstorming on what would be the best solutions, and Nugan was also suggesting. So I think that this is to signal the support from the community to do this. And I think this advances token engineering because it proposes alternative to coin voting governance. But I also think that that we should continue engaging in this process, because it's not done. It's not something okay, we this is done and we're just announcing it. We're just we are going into that direction, and we are saying that that to go into that direction, that will cost some funds to the DAO.
There is a reason for my confusion. Exactly what Tam and Seth just mentioned versus exactly what Livy and Juanca mentioned. Not versus, but like the difference in between the and because it's a different. I feel there are different visions about the same. And I don't see, like my confusion came from the idea of, oh, so we will have to vote again when they come up with a solution. So there will be another process for this. So there will be like it adds on. So I didn't understand. Yeah, so that's where it comes from.
And what are the liabilities if, you know, they go ahead and execute on the development work for this and then we do not execute it within the hatch?
No, it's going to be on the common upgrade.
Yeah, I think that's what Nate meant. But it is that is possibly an outcome. Yeah, this was, I can see now that there was a lot of confusion around this vote. I think what can really help was the idea that Livia proposed is having a very clear template on what information to include, because I think people read it and developed their own interpretation and went back to the forum and read things. And I think that having a super clear template for the kind of information to explain in each proposal can really help here.
I created an issue for that. It's tagged under SoftGov to create a template for a snapshot or these things that we are using, so we can sort of have a template that works.
I'm sorry, I really have to jump. I'm already late for another meeting. Maybe we can continue this async or in the Stewards channel and the SoftGov channel.
Thank you, Tam.
Thanks, Tam.
Thanks.